We drive the same Highway 99 to get into the Capitol each week, to and from, and we go through a lot of construction and have for well over a year. Do you have any idea what the cost was for those improvements on Highway 99 that we're seeing now, that we're driving through every day, and where they came from?
No, ma'am.
Most people don't, and this is my point, that the high-speed rail bond had more accountability than any other bond measure ever in the history of the state of California. We know what it's going to cost. We know when it's supposed to come online. We know every detail, and the law was written that way, not to be able to find a way to take it apart and destroy it, but rather to give the legislature the ability to have constant oversight, not just before the project passed, but throughout the life of the entire project. Unlike any other part of our transportation system, the answer to the question I asked is $1 billion, and the only reason I know that is because as a staff person, I worked on the implementing legislation for Prop 1B in 2006. Now, mind you, that was 8 years ago that we passed that bond measure. We didn't pass the high-speed rail bond measure until 2008. We are just now today seeing some of the improvements on Highway 99 from Prop 1B. The other question that I have for you, the last time you flew to Los Angeles, how long was the flight time?
I don't fly to Los Angeles.
Certainly you've flown at least once.
No, I don't. I drive.
Senator Lara, what's the flight time from here to Los Angeles?
The total number of hours to get from like 3.5
just
3 hours.
Being on the plane and then getting off the plane, the exact flight time itself.
Oh Jesus, I don't know. Like.
See, we don't know. That's the point. It changes from time to time, and that's my point. You were critical of the fact that you're saying that it's going to take more than 2 hours and 40 minutes. I knew when I crafted the legislation that we could not pinpoint an exact time on the exact minutes. Well, no one here in this room can probably tell exactly what the flight time is from here to Los Angeles. We know it's a little over an hour, but most people have no idea the exact time. The bill is written, AB 3034. The exact language that I have, since we're being exact here, is the high-speed rail system to be constructed pursuant to this chapter shall be designed to achieve the following characteristics. And then it goes on to outline what the times are. That's because we wanted to give voters the sense that it wasn't going to take 5 hours or even 4 hours. It was going to be about 2 hours and 40 minutes. It would be designed to achieve those characteristics. Next, you made the argument that it was going to run 220 miles per hour all along the whole system. Not true at all. Not true at all. Voters were given the business plan of 2008. I have it right here before me, and I can show it to you, where the speeds are outlined by segments and they're coordinated. And everything in green is from 100 to 150 miles per hour, and that would be in the Bay Area, and that would be in Southern California. Then there's the segments in blue that would be between 150 and 200 miles, and then the segments in purple that are over 200 miles per hour. That's because we can't possibly predict every single minute detail about the system in advance of gaining the money and having the studies and doing all of the necessary work. The next thing that you talked about was the cost for the ticket. In 2008, in the business plan, they did a study with looking at a forecast of what it would be and what revenue could come in if they were looking at having it be the cost of about half of the cost of an airline ticket. That's where you got the $50 figure from LA to San Francisco. At that time, in those days, a round-trip flight, round trip, was around $200. In later years, they looked at other different scoring to see what it would be if perhaps they were to look at having it cost about 2/3 of an airline ticket price. There's a variable in there, and at the appropriate time, the High-Speed Rail Authority will make decisions about what the cost of a ticket will be to ride the system. Also, you made reference to the fact that it's illegal, Prop 1, that what we're planning now is illegal with reference to Prop 1A because you say it has to be done by 2020. That's not so. The business plan, again, that was presented to the voters in 2008, page 5, in case you're interested, says the authority assumes that the full high-speed train system will be in place by 2030. There's nothing in the bill itself that says it will be 2030 or 2020 or any time, because we didn't know. We couldn't possibly know. Just as we couldn't possibly know when all of the improvements would be to our full highway system. Finally, what I would like to say, 2 points. One is that the first segment that went under contract is actually under, it's under budget, not over budget. We assumed it would be about $1.5 billion for the first contract that was let, and it's under $1 billion. Last but not least, I envy you with all my ability to envy that your district got the first set of money and mine did not. When we were competing for the monies, I at the time represented Merced County in the Assembly. We had worked since 2001 with a committee in place, representatives from all over the district. And when we had troubles with the thought of and the discussion of going through farmland, and when farmers started getting those notices in their mail that the authority was going to come onto their premises and they wanted to assess the property, it was before my election, and you can imagine my voters were very, very unhappy with me. But we stuck to it, and I did my job as a legislator, and I actually worked with my constituents, and we came up with an alignment that worked for the community. And we were ready, and we had people on board, and we were advocating to have the money come from Merced to Fresno. It has taken every bit of restraint on my part not to do a bill to take your money and give it to the people who actually want the money so bad and are ready to use it. We have had an EIR in place since May of 2012. The city of Palmdale, they were threatening to sue when the authority was talking about not coming through Palmdale. There are places in this state where people want the system so bad, and I am sorry that other legislators and yourself have not done what I believe might have been able to be done to bring your community together to inform the authority of what works for you and what doesn't work for you, as we were able to do in Merced County, and as I and those of the other supporters in Merced were able to work with Madera County to help them come to that place as well. I would have been willing to work with you and work with some of the folks in your area to find some compromise. It makes it very difficult now. But my point being that there are other places in the state that do want the system to go forward. There are other people who may not be here today because they're spending 2 and 3 hours each way every day just to get to work. They don't have time to fight the train or come and support the train because they're busy in the car all day long. I hope you'll take that to heart.